Dustboard Journals is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. And if you want to bring support to Dustboard Journals, just head to patreon.com/dustboardjournals. And now, on with the show. This is Dust War Journals episode 20, your number one source for all news related to Dust 1947. And my name is Johannes, and with me today are...
Magnus, known as Magoff or Magwiz on the forums.
And Loda is here as well.
How are you doing, gentlemen? All
Fine,
your
thank
base
you.
are belong to us.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's a Thursday, so it's in anticipation of Friday evening.
Of course.
Yeah, it's nice. And we have some nice weather.
Yeah,
Finally.
The sun has just come out an hour ago, or something like that, in Gothenburg. So
Yeah, for the first time this year it feels like...
summer is here. We're learning to fly.
Yeah, so as you can tell, we're kind of stoked for the weather. But there's also been some hobby work, I think, for all of us. I haven't had that much time to do some dust stuff, unfortunately. Mostly because my hobby table has been full of other stuff, and I haven't really had time to go through everything. But I have been building Gundam models.
Cool.
Yeah, I got one of those really big ones, the perfect grade. It's like 30 centimeters tall, so quite imposing stuff. Yeah,
Dustify, perhaps.
Not that one, but I have one that I have some plans for in the future. We'll see.
Right.
But there's some other stuff going as well. I have another kind of reason to finish my kind of desert cultist table now, because my wife actually asked me to play Dust with her.
Ooh.
Finally,
wow.
Yeah, achievement unlocked.
Yes.
Ooh.
That's very good. That's very good.
Yeah, so really looking forward to that. Yeah. So for you guys, have there been much Dust hobbying lately?
Not too much for my part, painting and building and stuff. I'm hoping to get some time, in a couple of weeks or so, because at the moment I have some relatives staying over, so it's a bit crowded at my place. But I did have some time playing a couple of games, and we tried out playing Dust with a chess clock, which is an idea I wanted to try. I've played with chess clocks in other games, and I thought it would be nice to try, would this work for Dust? How would it be to play with a chess clock? And it was interesting. I want to try some more. There were some pros and cons, and I think maybe we should discuss that in a later episode, perhaps. It was interesting.
Yeah, really cool.
Really interesting. Well, looking forward to hear your views on this when you've consumed it a little bit more or something like that.
Yeah, got some more time under your belt, so to speak.
Exactly.
You showed us some terrain just now before we started recording.
Yeah, I actually I can't stay away from all the GV stuff as perhaps other people do as well, and I found those Serite ruins to be very interesting, and I've been putting them together, painting them with my daughter actually, and we hope they will be great for desert table. I think they will be great both for the desert table and for perhaps an Amazonic-like table or a jungle table. I hope we can finalize them so they're somewhere between desert and jungle oasis or something like that. I think I really recommend them for beginners, because also they come in a brownish original color. So if you just don't want to paint your terrain but want something 3D, you could just pop them together, because they pop out. It's not like you have to.
No, so it's just snap fit.
Yeah, snap fit. Yeah. So they're very good for those who are lazy ones who just want to buy a box of terrain, snap it together, have it on the table, and then you don't have to do anything more. But my ambition is, of course, there will be a lot of color on them and texture and foliage and stuff like that when I'm done. But also I've been playing some games, some small games. I've been trying out a new format for a tournament, and also I've been painting some walkers for Poland actually. So haven't done much, but a little bit. I've just started to work on my final models for that army that I think I will bring to Poland.
Yeah, it seems like you always wait to the last second to kind of finalize your army. It seems.
Yeah, well, I had a little bit, how should I work on the Poland trip? But since to me it's going to be an enjoyment, it's about playing games, having fun. I definitely won't go there with any ambition at all, other than just meeting nice, funny people and playing nice games against them. I will, of course, try to win my games, but I'm trying to put together an army this time that really is just the units I want to play with. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there's a few I have to leave without because when you're already on 138 points, you can't bring a Punisher as well, or a Devastator.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah, well,
always those tough choices.
Definitely, but no. I don't know. Is it okay if I mention that tournament thought that I had?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because for some reason I just want to I'm thinking perhaps there should be a tournament where it's a little bit more faster and easier and more inviting to new players. So I'm calling it 15591, and it's 15 armor points. Put together whatever type of units you want, as long as it's maximum 15 armor points. It's 5 to 9 units. You need to be regulating it, I think, so you don't have, for instance, 2 Devastators popping up, because then it would be too much points.
Yeah, that could be
a bit
nasty.
problem. Yeah. And also, if you bring 15 Soldier Ones for NDAC or USMC, that would also be a problem. So you have to restrict it for some reason upwards. And then just one mat, but with quite a lot of terrain on it. So you will have that hide and seek and running around and a little bit more perhaps kill team feel over it.
No, that sounds really cool. We should definitely do that on one of our smaller local tournaments, just to try it out. I think just to see how it works in a kind of larger group.
Yeah, because that's the format I've been using to have fun with just for having fun with my daughter and other people that I've been playing lately with. But I think it could work for seasoned gamers as well.
Because as we've seen, it's just changing up the army points just a little bit can do a huge difference for how you play that game.
Yeah.
Or even changing from 2 mats to 1 mat, that will also make a huge difference. So it will force people who are competitive to think very different from what they used to. So yeah, that could be really cool.
Yeah, I remember, playing years ago some of the Games Workshop games. It was I don't know if you guys remember that. They had some kind of format of, what's it called? 40K in 40 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I played those.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I can't remember the restrictions, and I haven't been playing 40K now for a long time. But I remember that was loads of fun.
Yeah.
There were some heavy restrictions. You can only use very basic troops and maybe 1 hero or something like that. But it was loads of fun, and the games were super quick. So in just an afternoon, you could play easily 2, 3, 4 games, no problem.
Yeah, that's a little bit like that. That I was getting that feeling as well. I of course did this just to teach my daughter to play the game, so it was easy. We take 3 infantry, 2 walkers. Let's play. But when we played, we had so much fun. We started experimenting a little bit with it, and been more and more serious about it for each game we play. And I just feel there is something there that, you shouldn't do that all the time. It's the thing that, but it's the same thing. If you only play 100 points every game you play, you're gonna get so fucking bored about that. So if you play just like this with just 15 armor points, you will get bored as hell after few games as
well. Of course, but I mean,
but the one-offs.
Yeah, the variation is always nice.
Yeah.
So we should, we should try to put something together. Maybe put on the website or whatever. People could try it out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sounds really good. Let's go over to some news. There hasn't actually been that much. For a change, it seems like the last few months there's just been tons of stuff all the time. So this is kind of a change of pace, kind of going into the summer maybe. Really the only new releases has been some old units re-released in new premium patterns. Mm-hmm. We have Ivan the Butcher and Iron Joe for the Spetsnaz, which has been released in the Sverograd pattern. So more of the Spetsnaz arriving in Sverograd. And the Desert Scorpion Sniper Squad in the Babylon pattern. But we also had a preview of sorts. An Italian dust blog got a hold of the miniature and the card for an upcoming mercenary hero, Natalia, which is going to be the tournament support model going forward. This is very interesting because I think this is the cheapest hero in the game.
Yes.
Only 2 points.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And for those 2 points, you get 2 light SMGs, the kind of standard SMGs. Soldier 1, of course, move 3, march 4, and 4 health. But she also has killing spree, and that's basically laser.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So this is actually a really effective model, especially if you combine it with some specific squads, I think.
But isn't she... Maybe I'm not remembering correctly, but wasn't she also a loner?
No, I don't think she is.
The quickest way is just to watch the Marek video on YouTube, and then freeze it in the right time because he shows the card.
I have a distinct memory seeing somewhere or reading somewhere that she was a loner.
Yes, she is. I just forgot to put it on the notes. Yes, that's true. She is a loner, so she can't go with a squad. But still, 2 points for a hero. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cheap, and I mean, of course, she has her limits with being fairly easy to kill.
But you need to get her really into the enemy. Those light submachine guns has only a range of 2, but if she gets in range, she will just mess up a squad.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking too, and I mean, tournament-wise, we have seen loads of infantry-based Soldier 1 armies, the NDAC, the Spetsnaz, the USMC, and this 2-point model can cause some havoc in those units with twin or with double SMGs and killing spree. I mean, that could actually hurt a lot, and if she dies, she dies. It's only 2 points. Yeah. Doesn't really matter, so...
No, she seems like an automatic selection in some tournaments in later coming.
Yeah, but, I think so. So giving this model away as a tournament participation prize seems quite given because everyone can use this.
Yeah,
I think we've all been in that situation where you built your list and said, "Oh, I have 2 points left. What can I can't do anything with those." Now you can.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So that is good. It's always nice to have some of those easy fillers. So you just you fill up your points.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to getting one in Poland. So
well, lucky you.
Yeah.
Bring some back for us if you can.
Exactly.
All right. Let's go over to some kind of...
I have, Gregoire also teased us a little bit on the Dust USA webpage, from upcoming things coming. And we got news that there will be more army boxes, just not the only one. We talked about it. Was the last episode?
Oh, yeah.
Episodes ago.
Last episode, I think. In the catalog, there's only one.
I was moaning about. No, I wasn't moaning about it. Actually, I was just stating that I sincerely did not think that it would be only the allied who get an army box or the USMC, and we now know that there will be a Spetsnaz army box, which we really look forward to. Don't we, Magnus? Yes, the word was yes. You were looking for yes. Johannes is nodding his head. Everyone who doesn't see this,
of course,
everyone is looking forward to the Spetsnaz army box, and especially with the 2 snipers. And they have heavy armor, so they're sniper 2, so they are for Rosa.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and that makes me almost misty in my eyes. So.
Yeah, just an army full of snipers, all with camouflage, just going. No.
Yep. I'll do it. But I actually don't remember if it was any more things that were teased about it. Was it? Did they
I don't
have
remember
any more?
seeing as many details, but I'm sure we're going to get to it sooner or later.
Oh yeah, but to me that is news as well. That
of
they
course,
had,
of course.
So
let's go to the terrain contest.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's been a rousing success, I think, and I'm blown away by just the imagination of all the contestants and just the skill of putting all these different terrain pieces together. It's been fantastic, and it's been amazing just to see how people have just seeing all the work in progress, see things grow from nothing into something really cool.
Yeah, and I mean everything about it, not only the actual terrain pieces, but people have been writing up stories and putting together some really cool and
just imaginative.
Imaginative rules, and I mean some of them I'm really looking forward to trying them out. Yes.
And we are going to put everything up on a specific post on dustwarjournals.com, so people can see all the entrance with pictures and the rules and everything. But there are also some prizes involved.
Yeah. Do you mean that it will be a little bit like a pamphlet, just so I know, that with the rules and the pictures and stuff like that? Or how do you... Because that would be nice, one can download and just have it like a Dust War Journals rulebook extra mythos.
That maybe, if we can find the time to do it.
Yeah, of course.
A Dust War Journals journal.
Yeah, I mean, that would be just a thought I had to mention it.
Of course. So, as we hinted in the terrain kind of rules, there are actually multiple prizes. We have the big Nyarlathotep model kit for the grand prize winner, but we also have some extra prizes for 2 other random drawn winners. That's a unique Dust War Journals coffee mug.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's going to be sent out, and we also have some MDF tokens with specifically made for Dust Nordic with the Dust Vikings logo on them. And that's also going to be sent out to one lucky winner. But we're going to start by drawing the winner of the tokens.
Okay, yeah.
So, the way we do this is we've kind of compiled everything into a big list and just randomly selected. And the winner of the tokens is Nicolas Michaud from France. And Nicolas made I think people have seen this on Facebook. It's this gorgeous kind of gate, very very evocative, and the rules for it are just crazy. This kind of creates can create a mirror image of a unit, and it's just you have to read it. It's amazing. So big congratulations, Nicolas.
Yes.
We're going to get in contact with you and get those tokens to you as soon as we can. So let's before we go too far, we're going to go completely left turn and talk about some other stuff we've been doing. Specifically
so
the...
It's a cliffhanger.
Yes, of course. The unofficial unit cards that the Dust Vikings have put together. Because we had put these out on the Dust War Journals blog, on the Dust Vikings page, on Facebook, and we would just like to know if people have tried these out, if they have any opinions of them, what could be done better, any future units they could be using.
Yeah, I mean personally, there are tons of cool mostly vehicles for me. I think the historical vehicles are really awesome.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
if you have some way of dustifying them with putting phasers, lasers, whatever on them, it makes them super cool. So yeah, we've put together a few cards, and it would be awesome to hear from our listeners if they've tried them out, or even if they don't have the actual models, I can understand that, but maybe proxy them and see what they think about it. And also, do people have any new ideas, any specific ideas or wishes for future unofficial cards that we can make? I mean, lately we got or last time I would say, we got the request for the mouse.
Yeah.
And it kind of coincided with you getting one. So,
yes. But that's not just the things that we get are not supposed to kind of be the end all be all. That's not the point of it. The point is just to try and have a curated list of unofficial cards that are not kind of condoned, but they are discussed quite heavily by us in the Dust Vikings group. And we try to make them as fair as possible. We don't want these to be overpowered in any way. We actually usually do it like we discuss the rules back and forth. How is this rule going to work with the historical vehicle and with how the game is played? And then try to match that with a point cost that seems as fair and balanced as possible. And then we usually add a point.
Yeah. So it's very, very important to understand that we don't try to do units for ourselves that are better, that are super units. I think the original thought when we started making the first one was it just ties the game into the reality aspect of the war. And since the studios unfortunately can't make all those vehicles, they make a few. And when you see one playing one of those, the whole game just lifts. I mean, the atmosphere, the visual concept of it all just gets better. I think that's also why people get so crazy about the new cultist vehicles. I mean, it's just so wonderful to see the blend, so you get the wholeness of the world, so to speak.
Exactly. I mean, I feel world. As I love the official Dust vehicles. I mean, all the walkers are amazing, but still there are loads of actual historical vehicles that are either very, very iconic, or it could be vehicles like the Mouse that actually never saw battle, but still like it's a kind of a legendary vehicle anyway. And to me, they have a place in the game.
Definitely.
So I just like to be able to play those, and since there aren't any official cards for them, why not make a couple of our own? But as you said, the point is not to make super competitive vehicles. The point is to make them possible to be played.
Yeah, and if you picture yourself, you see for instance, the Matryoshka or the Babushka, beautiful walker, striding alongside the infantry twos. It is, of course, great. It is cool. But if you add two T-34s, of course, T-34s in that picture, the Babushka and the Matryoshka stands out even more. It gets even more impressive because you see how it stands out from the original normal tanks. So if you get that, or if you play like I don't know, any M4 or Bush I mean 6-shooter or something, and you have two Shermans there, the 6-shooter looks even more impressive.
I understand precisely what you mean. Is that kind of combining the kind of out there with the normal and mundane. It's kind of like if you know that artist Simon Stålenhag. He's made those paintings with those Swedish kind of standard kind of fields and hills and then robots.
Yeah,
it's just It wouldn't work if it was just the robots. No. It needed that mundane kind of surrounding in order to make it all work.
And
that's kind of the same idea.
On the outskirts of town, and then there's the dinosaur walking past it.
In the ice cream truck.
Yeah, the ice cream truck. Yeah. So it's just, if that ice cream truck isn't there, it doesn't look the same. It isn't the dinosaur isn't as good, even if it's the same fucking dinosaur.
Yeah, so exactly. It's the contrast that makes it a lot better.
Yeah. So it's not that we dislike the normal units. It's just that we feel this just adds and makes them even better. The things that the Dust Studio does when we combine these in, so to speak.
Yeah, and I mean, I have also found that a lot of people, they have like a favorite vehicle from World War II. They have the German Tiger or the Stug or whatever it is, and to be able to play those are just it's really nice to be able to play those.
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully there are others out there who does this. We have
because that's kind of where we started with this discussion. We want more feedback. What do you guys think about these? And we want ideas or wishes for future cards.
And I just like to do a little tongue in cheek to one of our friends, and I really want to emphasize the word friend here, because we have one guy who does amazing dustification on his tanks, and I think he has a wardrobe full of dustified German tanks, and he paints them really nice as well. He has a beautiful painting scheme, but it's never playing them in tournaments because he doesn't want to play with the things that isn't regular or standard. And it's such a shame for all us who wants to enjoy his beautiful creation or his beautiful work. And you know who you are, so I don't have to mention. But please, just once, bring your beautiful models that you put so much effort and time, and let us share in your craft and your work and your...
Yes, we are looking forward to blowing them to pieces.
Oh, yes!
Of course.
That's all the most about.
That's the most fun thing about ever seeing someone else field a brand new model just in order to, I can blow that up.
But seriously, have you ever just put together a brand new unit, painted it like mad, and not loosed it in the first 2 rounds of it?
Of course.
People are just go. I can't count the endless times that this one.
Fresh paint is a bullet magnet.
Yes.
That's how it is.
And it can be just a shit unit that no one should shoot at, but still the opponent just there it goes, and just like you say, it's a bullet magnet, that fresh paint. I don't know. So
we also had a couple of rules questions. So specifically, there were some rules talk in preparation for Poland.
Oh yeah.
That I thought you wanted to speak of specifically.
Yeah. Well, I one thing that really annoyed me is, well, one should put it like this. It's always unfortunate when you come to a tournament and you find out your opponent has a completely different view on something, and some stuff are really being handled differently in different countries, and some stuff are definitely not clear in the rules. No matter who you are and whatever you say, it's just not clear yet. So one thing that I feel could make trouble would be the chopper disembarking and embarking, because if you read the rules correctly, when we found it out in Germany, in autumn, you could not, how was it? The walker is the only one that can leave the chopper, and the humans are the only one that can enter the chopper if you really read what's in the rules. So I was very curious, how will it be handled in Poland? And if I'm not totally mistaken now, Marek quickly answered, as he always does, and he said that the vehicles will embark and disembark in the square just beneath the chopper, but the infantry can disembark in all the 9 squares, the chopper square and the 8 surrounding it, and can also enter from those squares. and I am extremely thankful that this is cleared up now, so we know happens in Poland. I would like to add, though, just to be annoying, that I feel that it's the wrong way to do it. I sincerely hope that the FAQ will say that the humans can only also just disembark and enter on one square, because otherwise I have to lean on the side that says the chopper is overpowered, because I feel that chopper is overpowered if you can't block it.
The transport chopper.
Yeah, the transport chopper. The other ones I don't give a shit about actually. So it's just the human since you can put those steel guards with the flamethrowers, the flame burst guys inside them, and they are extremely hard still to shoot down. The chopper, I mean, and then they have the control of 3x3 squares from the chopper. It's they control 9 squares of the board. You know the problem, all you do. So it's just, I feel you should be able to block them by putting...
I agree with you. I mean, the main thing is to get a clear answer, especially when you go to a tournament where sometimes feelings can get a bit heated. So that's always a lot better to know how it works before you go into such a situation. But on the other hand, as you say, in my view, the choppers are pretty powerful. I've stated that on different places, and this makes the what's it called, the assaulter helicopter who carries infantry. It's a powerful unit, and as you mentioned, to put that kind of restriction on it would actually make it a bit less powerful. It would still be good, but you could counter it or at least annoy it a bit fairly easily. Now, as they are running it in Poland, it's difficult.
Yeah, because I actually think that, and also the invader. We know now that the Germans don't want to play the invader, if I understand it correctly. And I think I haven't seen the invader being played in Sweden as well. And I think it's the same reason. People feel that if they can disembark from 9 squares with that, but they can just jump out when you are you have already traveled with it and moved
assault vehicle.
Yeah, people feel that it's getting ridiculously overpowered, even if it's 25 points. So I think actually people are not playing it because they feel that it's not fair and fun to have a units that is able to do that. I don't think it is that they feel that it's too costly. I might be wrong here, but seriously, I feel Dust Studio will sell more invaders if it were dumbed down a little bit. But perhaps, I don't know, I might just be wrong in this. So
that's a tough call, actually. I don't know. The invader is an expensive unit points wise, so I don't know. I haven't really seen the invader either, actually. But the
I played it a few times, and when I played Spetsnaz, and I will play it again because I love the unit. I am of course a little bit stupid, so I will only disembark from the square beneath, and if you block that, I won't disembark even if the rules tells me I can. But I didn't reactivate the superheroes as well because I felt that was unfair, so I didn't do it even if I lost the game in a tournament. So which has been happening actually on 2 occasions, but and that's, I'm not saying everyone has to do it just because I that's just the way I am. I'm strange like that or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but this this mounting and dismounting question is something that I'm hoping will get some kind of just a slight clarification, basically what the intent is, because the rules in the book is a bit ambiguous. I would say you could make your interpretation basically one way or the other, or you could make the really hardcore interpretation that some players made, obviously, that which way was it? You mentioned it before, that vehicles can only disembark,
I think, and then humans can only embark, because that's the
that's to me that is obviously
not
wrong.
The case. Yeah, nobody seriously said that. That just that what when we consulted the rule book and looked at the pictures, there was basically that's
so I mean, So just some kind of slight clarification in upcoming FAQ would be awesome, and just settle it. How is this supposed to be played?
Yeah. But unfortunately, as we said also last episode, the rules for blowing up a chopper favors this, as they do in Poland, that humans ought to be able to disembark in 9 squares.
And I mean that could be the sort of correct choice to make things
streamlined.
Yeah, to make it like similar situation works in a very similar way, so you don't have to remember. Oh no, in this case it works differently. You just this is how the choppers work.
Yeah, just to make the rules a little bit more consistent, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. All right, time to get back to our terrain contest. It's time to pick our second winner, the winner of the exclusive Dust War Journals coffee mug.
Yes. And this is actually the one you should be looking forward to. I must say, this is...
Yeah, why isn't this the grand prize?
Yeah, I think we should swap this now, shouldn't we? No.
Well, to be honest, it's not a ranking; it's just a random drawing.
Yeah,
so
of course.
If you win this mug, you can definitely see yourself as the grand winner, of course.
Yeah.
And the winner of this exclusive, fantastic prize, Seth Squires from the United States.
Woo!
And
Congratulations.
very much congratulations, Seth. Seth made a beautiful kind of like diorama piece with a crashed plane in a river. The kind of background story here is that they were transporting a book like the Necronomicon or something like that, and after the crash this has polluted the river and the piranhas in it. So yeah, this is really, really cool work and looks fantastic. So we'll get in touch with you, Seth, and make sure that the coffee mug gets to you. Congratulations.
And I don't want to favor things, but I actually just got the feeling that the quickness of Seth's action and starting to working on this model made even more people interested and started working. So an extra, actually, a thanks from our point, I think we need to give to Seth. So it's very good that he got it, because it felt like he helped us get more contribution, actually, with his quick work.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we've been talking a lot about tournaments. We play a lot of tournaments ourselves, both big and small.
Yeah.
And we've talked about how to get people into the game, and the next step is usually just to want to go to a tournament or to organize a tournament. So we thought we should talk a little bit about that. If you want to organize your own event, how do you get started? I think you, Magnus, have a lot of experience in this area.
Yeah, I have some experience. I mean, I was running a local game store for 7 years, so I have no idea how many events, both for tabletop wargaming and card games and different board games and everything. And it depends a lot on, how big is the event, what's the location, what is the purpose of it? Is it a straight up tournament, or is it a bring in new players event? Or but there are some things that when you start planning out, there are a few things that you if you know these things, at least when I'm planning stuff, if I consider these things early on, and write stuff down and make sort of lists and everything, and keep coming back to them, things tends to run a lot smoother. Things get done, and they get done in time and everything. So I've made sort of a list here to give some tips for people that are just starting out. I mean, Dust is really picking up pace now.
Yeah.
And I get the feel that people are out playing both more demo games and going to tournaments and hopefully organizing tournaments as well.
So bring it.
I would say the first thing is basically to put down some deadlines for stuff. Start by making some kind of schedule. Obviously, when is this event going to happen? That's kind of the main thing. But there are a lot of other deadlines on the way. that you should have like checkpoints for when things need to be ready. If it's a tournament, scenarios needs to be ready before. There should be some kind of deadline for registration, for information on website and everything. If you're building terrain, it's really nice to put up some deadlines for yourself, so you're not, doing everything on the night before. I know how it is. I'm usually working like crazy the night before, and that happens.
Yeah, that's part of the charm, isn't it? Also,
yes,
you shouldn't be finished
as long as you don't leave everything.
No, definitely.
Yes,
the last
of course,
night.
but just having some stuff to do in the last minute, that's almost inevitable.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
absolutely, it happens. But I mean, as an organizer, there's a lot of things you need to prepare. It could be terrain, but it could also be like you have to print out a lot of papers, the scenario stuff, the like the game registration sheets for all the players. It could be army list that you want to have at hand, for example. Stuff like that. You should make deadlines for as many things as you can, basically, and try to keep those, or at least you can go back to your list and check what did I miss. So try to organize stuff like that. And the next point is that you have to remember that a lot of people are lazy, including yourself, possibly. I don't know about you guys, but it's very easy to get lazy.
That is unfortunately very true.
I'm not gonna do this today. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, and most people are like that, and that's fine. But that also means that you have to remind people. You have to remind if you have a co-organizer, maybe you have to remind him or her. We discussed earlier that you were supposed to print this. Did you do it?
Yeah, one has to be the daddy, so to speak.
Yes, sort of, exactly. And I mean, for people who are supposed to come and play in your event, they are probably also lazy, so you probably have to remind them about stuff to send in their army lists or to bring whatever they need to bring. So reminders are good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
May I just intersect there with some interpret it like know your players also, if you can. I mean, if you know one person never brings his dice with him, it's good. Perhaps it's easier just bring another set of dice.
Yeah, of course. If you have
the
a
argument is just tiresome.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a community and play with roughly the same people, you get to know them, and you probably understand that this guy he always forgets his dice. Yeah. So you need to remind him, or maybe even bring an extra set, for example. Yeah. It's just small stuff like that. That also makes it a lot easier if you have that in your mind, that people are not going to do everything that they say or remember everything that you tell them. It's just the way it works.
Oh yes.
Yeah. The next point on the list here is to create some excitement and hype about the event. And why is that important?
I don't know. Why is that important?
Well, otherwise you turn up like my Lincoln event there that nobody wants to play it, so I cancelled it. I should actually. No, but I should have read your points there a little bit better and made some hype about it, because I just had to eat my words.
That could be it. I don't know in this specific case, but this is actually more important than a lot of people think. Because excitement and hype is really what drives this hobby, I would say. If you are excited, if you have something to look forward to, it makes it a lot easier to remember the stuff, to actually get prepared in time and to sign up to the event and everything. This really helps with the points we've just discussed before this, if you create some hype. And of course, the word spreads. If somebody thinks your event is going to be super cool, he probably tells his friends about it.
And I definitely agree with you that that's something that's necessary in this hobby overall, not just when you're organizing tournaments and events. And that's kind of the reason why but it's so important that a game gets some regular support from its publisher, new releases and new stuff all the time, because it keeps the game fresh in the mind of the players.
Absolutely.
And you hear that sometimes with people that say, this game is not dead because, well, the publisher doesn't do anything with it now, but we still have a bunch of people who play it. But those people are not getting in new people. And those people are just slowly going, their excitement levels are dropping off, and suddenly the game is actually dead.
Yeah.
But you can, if you have the excitement, you can actually go the other way as well. I think a good example recently with this is the Vampire card game. Vampire the Eternal Struggle, which was discontinued 10 years ago, something like that. But the community still kept up the excitement. There was an unofficial group that created unofficial expansions, which kind of then became semi-official, and now the game has picked up a new publisher and is going out again because people kept up the excitement. So I definitely agree that excitement is very important, more important than people think.
Yes, absolutely. It's important in a lot of ways, actually, both for a game as a whole and for your specific event. Sometimes, of course, it can be hard if you're if you're running just a small event, or if you're running, I don't know, doing demo games. It's not that easy to create a lot of hype, but try to think about it and see what you can do about it. Just be also a bit careful not to kind of overhype it. I mean, if you're going to organize a tournament, don't start with telling everyone that this is going to be the biggest, baddest, coolest tournament ever made. It's going to be 1,000 people, because it's just not going to happen. So try to be a bit realistic. Try to create the excitement that you can actually live up to.
Yeah, you can deliver.
Yeah, that's kind of, the old over-promise, under-deliver. That is a very sure way of making people not go to your next event.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, next point on the list here is you need to think about your channels for information about the event. And that kind of ties together with the creating excitement and making sure that people know the latest news, that people...
that they actually get the information.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen, I don't know how many times, people going to an event and they haven't the correct information. I've seen people come in, on the wrong day because they didn't read the information. And I mean, that was, I would say, maybe not 100%, but a lot of it was on my part because I did not use the correct channels for information. So that, over the years when I was running a lot of events in the local game store, I realized that this is, important, because just if I write something at, our webpage or whatever, it doesn't mean that everyone reads it. So write it on several places, make sure to kind of push people to the main source for information. Nowadays, there's, for example, Facebook, that a lot of people use. I don't use it personally, but for a lot of people, that's of course a really good channel for events, for example. But there's also a lot of other channels, and you should at least think about this. Are you using the best ways to push out your information or your advertising in the correct places? The next point on the list is, I was thinking about this basically if you're trying to build a community. This is maybe not mostly, not primarily for tournaments, but yeah, it could be like events in general, but maybe even more if you're just running a small campaign or a slow grow thing or whatever. is terrain. People tend to love terrain. They really enjoy looking at beautiful terrain pieces. They really, kind of, it gets a lot better. But the thing is that a lot of people are not going to buy or really make themselves. Either they don't, have the means for it, they don't know how to do it, they don't have the time or space to do it. So people in a game like Dust, people are mostly spending their hard-earned money on models.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to expand their cool army. And not that many people are actually spending money on terrain or time. So you have to consider that if you're running an event, you are probably going to have to either buy or make at least some terrain yourself. Maybe you can pool up with your friends, like we usually do. We have a group where some people have made terrain. Some people have made a lot of terrain, some people have made a little bit less, but still when we pool together, we have loads of it. So you need to think about this, especially if your event takes off and like the community is quickly getting bigger.
Yeah, because terrain has a tendency to run out.
Yeah, if you just start out playing 2, 3, 4 guys, and it's okay. You just need like 1 or 2 tables, or maybe 1 big table or whatever. That's fairly easy to put together. But if it grows and you quickly become like 10, 15 people, there's a lot more terrain there. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I just like to pass in there just to that what think about what would make you stop if you were passing the tournament?
Yeah, stop and look. And
And it's better to run, of course, a little tournament or some demo with 2D terrain than not doing it at all. But would I, if I pass, if I'm at a convention, do I stop when I see beautiful, well done terrain, or do I stop at the place where it's just 2D or non-painted or stuff like that? Personally, I would walk by non-painted terrain, non-painted figures. If it's not just, it could be like I spot that walker, of course, and Dust has that possibility. Because, when I first saw the M4 and the Ludwig, of course, it's not even knowing, of course, it was a Ludwig, but of course it's perhaps on intuitive, that model drew you in some way, somehow, anyway. But if I were to just sit down and spend some of my time, I want, of course, to get some interest back. I want to have something back. And
Yeah, you want, especially if you are doing some kind of demo games, I think that you should really strive towards that wow effect. You want people to really stop and have a look at what you're doing. Like, what is this? This looks super cool. I need to know more.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
And I also like to, of course, contradict myself, because it's a threshold there. Because I know people who I have a tendency, I want to make 3D terrain for every game I play. But if I don't do it correctly, people don't want to play with me on the 3D terrain because they feel like the 2D terrain is more impressive. For instance, if we're talking about like Imperial Salt. It's so beautiful, the 2D prints, that a few times I had tried to replicate it to get it to 3D so we could like stand behind like walls and stuff like that, and to me at least I did not get that much excitement then. Actually, I felt like people were more no, this doesn't look good. So if you can't make it good, don't use 3D terrain. Perhaps go with if it's a bigger wow factor with the 2D, if it's very nice, as Fantasy Flight will do it, very, very nice printable scenery, then I would go with the 2D stuff. So if you have for instance, if you have a great printer and are great on doing beautiful things that would be 2D, I would go with the 2D because then you get more of the wow factor. So
yeah, I get what you're saying, and yeah, like I said, especially when you're out doing demos for people, you want people to stop by and look, and you should do basically whatever you can to get the biggest wow factor.
Yeah, I made those mistakes to try to do 3D, which I haven't been able to deliver on, so to speak, and people have passed me. It would have been better if I just had.
Right.
Yeah, well, you understand me. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Moving on here, the next point on my list was entry fee. I mean, if you're hosting a tournament, it's always nice to have some prizes for the winners, or for the best painted, or whatever you want. And usually stuff costs a bit of money. Also, of course, the venue, the location could cost you some money. But try as best as you can to keep the fee as low as possible. I mean, it shouldn't be... The point isn't to make money of this, especially not if you are starting up a community, building and trying to get things going. Yeah, sure, you might have paid some dollars for terrain or stuff, but just try to cover your expensive, but otherwise keep it as cheap as you possibly can, because if you have a high entry fee, a lot of people are not going to come just because of that. So that's the simple truth of it.
And it's also a kind of danger that people might feel that they're not getting their money's worth. That's also a possibility.
Yeah, of course. And if you, let's say you have a super cool prize for the winner of the tournament, but that prize costs you a lot and you need to have a high entry fee to cover that cost. A lot of people are just going to think, I'm not going to win this tournament anyway, so I'm not going to bother to pay and participate. So kind of the result will be that you won't get that many players. So try to get, it's cool prizes are always cool, but it's not the most important thing. You could, set that bar a little bit lower and keep the price down. In my view, it's better to try to have like a few cheaper, smaller prices than one big prize, one super cool prize. It will get, I would say, almost always a better response from players participating. There's a bigger chance that you can win, and even if you don't win, it wasn't that expensive anyway, so that's okay. So that's also important, actually.
Yeah, but that is, I think I could stall on that point for hours. Actually, we shouldn't. I promise you. but that's actually something that has really been. I've been pondering about that, because you have a lot of tournaments when you feel like perhaps it's just. For instance, now when you go to Poland, there's going to be a great prize for the first, second, and third, but let's say it's 50 participants. It's perhaps 5, maximum 10, who are competing for those 3 prizes. And also those who are competing for those prizes almost have everything already. I mean, I was immensely happy when I got to the second place there a few years ago. But I seriously, and that's, if it's bad to say this, but I didn't give a shit about the model I got. I actually gave that away to Kalle for thanks for him driving us back and forth. But it was the plaque that the diploma. That was the thing that I treasured. I don't know if I'm different, but and I seriously don't go to Poland this year because I think I have anything to do with the top three prizes. I know my army. I won't be in the top 3. If I'm lucky, I will be top 10. I will be satisfied. But so I like what they do when they raffle things. They have a few prizes they just randomly throw out to people afterwards. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I still feel that people are, even if they are not in. I I just feel like know people who I know have no chance whatso fucking hell to win a tournament, but still seems to be pulled by the big prize to the winner.
Yeah, there's always those people that go there to win. I mean, that's those people. Of course, they exist, and that's fine. But if you want your community to grow, if you want to bring in more players, make your tournament bigger than last year, I would say, especially in the beginning, don't go for the big prizes, because that could easily be a turn-off for a lot of players. So, of course, it depends on what you want. If you want this to be like the World Champion Super Tournament, yeah, you should have a big prize, but for most people, for most events, I would say it's better to have a little bit, like lower that bar a bit. Don't make the price that big.
But then is that a Swedish thing? Because I feel like that is like what we have here, like the Jantelagen. It's like it's okay to be as long as you get something. And I just don't know, because sometimes you feel like the people really seriously know they won't win the prizes, but still
you shouldn't think you're hot shit just because you're hot shit.
No, yes, that's another thing of it. But I feel like, you know, people want to dream and want to believe that, oh, I'm gonna walk home with a big prize. Or I don't know. Just sometimes.
But that's.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, but I think it's kind of it's not kind of for the organizer of the tournament to think of, but more for the the participants. And I think the most important kind of thing to do that is to set your own personal goal. What do I want to achieve?
Yeah.
And that goal can just be, I want to win one match. That's my goal.
Yeah.
And if I do, then I feel like a winner because I achieved my goal.
Yeah.
And that can be just as important for some players as the ones who are just trying hardcore for that first place.
Yeah.
So find your own reason for going. I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. The next point on the list is the location or venue where you are going to run or host your event or tournament. This is also very important, of course. It needs to be accessible. You know, it shouldn't be somewhere out in the far woods somewhere. It should be, people should be able to go there fairly easily. You know, get there by bus, tram, car, bicycle, whatever. It should, of course, be functional for your event. You know, big enough. For dust, you need some tables and chairs and stuff like that. So check things out beforehand. And this ties in with the deadlines before. I mean, you should really check your venue early on. And, you know, be as clear as possible. For example, there was a little bit of hiccup for the Nordic there.
Yeah,
it sorted itself. It wasn't really our fault in any way. But
what happened was that the original venue that we had booked had been double booked, and we were kind of put down the priority list. But luckily, we were able to get another space in the same building. Yeah. So we didn't really have to change anything around, which was very lucky for us.
Exactly.
But those kind of things can happen, and that's also a thing that you should be aware of. Plan as much as possible, because then you can handle when things go wrong. Not if things go wrong, when things go wrong.
Yes, that's a very good point. You should have your venue sorted out well in advance. For example, if you're going to do some event in a local game store, make sure to visit them and talk to them and you know, get to know them well beforehand. Visit them more than once, so they know who you are, so they can trust you. So you know, everything goes a lot more smoothly if this is sorted out early on. And if things goes well, maybe you can return and do the event again, make it bigger, better, cooler. So,
as a former store owner, how do you feel the technique of letting the store owner win the tournament when you have your first tournament, so he gets the prizes? Is that a good way?
That is perfectly fine. I have no problem with that at all.
I'm not saying that happened at all.
No,
of course.
Of course not.
Of course. Sorry, I had to.
Well, yeah, moving on.
Yeah, please do.
Next point on the list is about attitude and mentality. For you as an organizer, it's very important, it's super important that you are positive, that you are friendly, that you are open-minded. You are the host of this event or this tournament, and you're going to get a lot of questions. You're going to meet hopefully new people, get to know them, and yeah, you need to handle a lot of different social situations, basically. So it's very important to have as much as possible have that friendly, positive attitude.
And one point there, I think, is that if you are the organizer of an event, then you are going to be in the center of attention. And that means that your attitude is going to affect everyone. Yes. Everyone is going to be it's going to be contagious. So whatever attitude you have is going to spread to everyone else.
Exactly.
In some ways.
And this goes both for hosting a tournament, where you have a group of people playing together for an entire day, for 2 days, or maybe even longer. But it's, of course, possibly even more important if you're out doing demos. If you're trying to show this game to somebody else, and if you're being rude to them or just, not very interested in them, they are probably not going to like this game. They are probably just going to walk away and never look at it again. So this is a very important point. And the final point on this list is about something that, I don't know, for some reason it's kind of skipped, I don't know. It's actually personal hygiene. I've been to events, gaming conventions or other stuff, and I find something, oh, this looks pretty cool, I wonder what this is. I approach the table, and the people behind the table just smells, terribly bad.
Like,
I just walk away from that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Guys, girls out there, take care of your hygiene. Nobody likes body odor.
Oh, don't say nobody.
Well, there's a time and a place for that.
Yes. No, but could I just let you go back one space there and one point, and just ask you, how do you think about, where do you draw the line when it comes to if there is a rule discussion? For instance, one of the hardest things I find is when you get that, oh, this has not been correctly handled in the game, and you as a judge has to rule on it, because it might be, for instance, someone has done something that actually is illegal, but they haven't done it on purpose, and perhaps they don't want to admit that this has affected the game or something.
There's I find in Dust there are very rarely those occasions, actually. There are other games that are a lot more prone to have that kind of situation, but either way, those can be really tricky, actually. So you have to have some kind of short discussion and try to settle it with both players being okay. I mean, if you can find what went wrong, usually there is sort of one player to blame for it. In that case, I just try to make sure that player does not get, some kind of benefit, doesn't win the game because of that. Maybe he can just, we can rewind something, or we can say, okay, this unit now counts as activated, or, depending on the situation. trying as best as possible to not give that player an unfair advantage because of the mistake. Usually I would say it's rare in Dust for those situations to happen, but of course it can happen. Let's say, for example, a unit is activated and then reactivated, and final stuff that happens in the turn, the unit gets reactivated again, even though a unit can only be reactivated once. What would you do? Yeah, it can be tricky, and in that case, I would probably try to rewind. Let's say what happened here, but it also depends what happened after. How far did it take for them to discover the mistake?
Yeah.
So
is the game over, or is it not? Is it the amateur that made the mistake, or is it the seasoned player that made the mistake?
It can be difficult. In that case, if it was a mistake that made a player win, like player A makes a mistake and then wins the game, kind of because of that mistake, I would take a discussion and say, no, this wasn't fair. I would give the win to the other player, actually. It can be tough, but sometimes you have to do tough choices during a tournament. And as long as it's clear who made that mistake, as long as it's clear why you make the decision, I find that most players, they will accept it. They maybe not be very happy with it, but they will accept it. And next time they will not do that mistake. I can guarantee you that.
And I think one point you should remember as a tournament organizer, make sure that you are fully aware and that the players are fully aware that this is your event and your word counts. Yeah. And it's not like you're a dictator, but you have veto. You have the final say in any situation, and that's what goes. And if it definitely happens that a tournament organizer makes a mistake from time to time as well, but it is that person's responsibility and it's that person's tournament. And if you just are clear about that from the beginning and make sure that this is what counts and I'm going to be consistent about this for the entirety of this event. Yeah. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, that is super important. If you make a decision, even if it's sort of like rules-wise a wrong decision, so to speak, be consistent about it. Okay, this is how we play during this tournament. Fine. Yeah. So don't change your mind between games, or even worse, during a game. That's gonna draw bad blood.
Yeah.
And to kind of close this discussion a little bit, I also put a couple of things, tips for what not to do. One thing is, I mentioned it before, don't break your promises. There's an old saying of overpromise, underdeliver, which is a lot of people don't realize this, but if you promise something and then break that promise, it's people are going to get mad, or not happy at least. But even worse, it's hurting the event. It's hurting you. So your next event, people are not going to trust you. And this isn't actually only for events. It's basically in a lot of situations in life. Keep your promises. And if for some reason you can't keep it, something, goes horribly wrong, you should let people know that. Just tell them, okay, this shit happened, so we are now going to do it like this. Shit happens. Yeah. It's just a fact of life. But yeah, don't overpromise and underdeliver. And the final point, which unfortunately I also seen or heard a lot of times, is people bad-mouthing other games or other companies or other players or events, like saying, oh, I don't play that game because it sucks. Oh, I will never go to that tournament again. It sucks. Don't do that, because it really doesn't hurt anyone but yourself. Let's say the other player across the table who you just played against, he loves that game. and you tell him that you think the game sucks, well, it's a good chance that he will not think of you as a nice person. You will not get to know him better. If you start out a game like that, or I don't know, it's not going to be that enjoyable. So there's really, you don't have anything to gain from bad-mouthing stuff. So just don't do it.
Yeah. So that's quite a bunch of tips for people trying to figure stuff out, for trying to organize their own events.
It became kind of a long list, but I hope people find something interesting in there and think about these things, because it will make their organizing life a lot easier.
Yeah, some really important stuff in there. All right, let's go over to mail call. We got a few interesting questions from some listeners. We got a question from Peter Spice Latte on Twitter, and he asked, what is the best Blutkreuz units to use to eliminate ground vehicles? This is a very interesting question. My first reaction was, zombies. But then I started to think about it, and this is actually more layered, because I believe that Blutkreuz is probably the one sub-faction that's absolutely best at eliminating ground vehicles.
Yes.
With all the zombies, with all the gorillas, with all the laser weapons. I mean, but which of all these alternatives is actually the most efficient?
It's a tough question. It really depends on a lot of things, what your preferences are, and if you're playing specific platoons.
Yeah, and also the field you're playing on. I mean, smaller field, definitely zombies all the way, because they get quicker in close. If it's a little bit longer,
or gorillas, the regular gorillas.
Yeah, well, we do them on the semi big tables.
Yeah, okay, they are
and
a bit
on the
faster.
real big tables, then you get the problems, because then you don't have the range, I would say.
Yeah, you got laser weapons, but most big laser weapons are block, so they're not Blutkreuz specific. I think.
What?
Yeah, like the Wotan and vehicles like that.
Oh yeah, you're thinking like that. Oh yeah. Well, no, then you want the infantry 3 support weapon unit, because that fires quite a long range. That one I would definitely use if I were playing 3 mats or 2-3 mats, or with longer range. I mean, then I would.
Or if you're playing gridless and you need that range.
Yeah, of course, gridless is also.
Yeah, so if you have sort of a mixed army, like mixed Blutkreuz army, you have a few zombies, you have a few gorillas, you have some laser stuff. Which one of those would be your go-to unit for trying to eliminate something? I would still say the gorillas in most cases, actually.
Well, doesn't that also depends on if you have the heroes or not? Because with the heroes, the monkeys take a huge leap, because they have they can take all the damage on the heroes and get to. With the zombies, you get so much more zombies that they can mow down 65% of your zombies, and if they get there, they're still efficient. But if 65% or 70% of your monkeys die, they don't do the same punch.
I think
I get what you're saying.
I think that the big difference is that the gorillas are a bit more versatile than the zombies.
Definitely.
You can put them in transports. You could. They are faster than the zombies usually.
You can reactivate them.
Yeah, you can reactivate them.
Mm-hmm.
So they have. The zombies are more specific to the scenarios and to the mats. The apes are a bit more changeable. They're a bit more versatile. You can use them in more situations, probably. But in that specific scenario, for when the zombies work, then they're spectacular, definitely.
And you got the intelligent zombies as well. Don't forget those units. Because they are faster also than with the telemines. Doesn't they move 5? Or am I wrong here?
No,
Yeah, they march 5, I think.
That just sounds too much.
Okay, perhaps it's just 4, but 4 is still quite.
Yeah, I think,
a lot.
But they do have the charge skill by default, so
and
by their own. So that makes them a threat as well. But they are still. I mean, their weapons are limited.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel the gorillas. It's been a while since I've played the Blue Croits, but I have played them actually a lot, I would say. And a gorilla squad, it doesn't matter if you have just one or if you have more gorillas, you can always send one of those gorilla squads out on their own. Basically, you can just rush them somewhere, you can flank them somewhere, you can wait a little bit to kind of counter punch with them, and because they are so fast and because you can reactivate them, you can really kind of spearhead or really punch something super quick, put some pressure in a specific point.
But do you then use the regular gorillas or the one with the Flamfausts? And the power drills? If
you're only using or selecting one unit, I would say the regulars, the all close combat guys.
Yeah, I agree.
The pioneers, I think they're called. The pioneer gorillas.
Mm-hmm.
They, if I'm playing more gorillas, second unit, either pioneer or regular ones.
Mm-hmm.
Third unit.
Why?
Because they bring something else to the table.
Yeah, but why don't you take the pioneers at the first one? Because they still have the power, the jackhammers and they can shoot at distance. And why aren't those the one you want to go?
Because the
too many choices.
No, not really. I mean, the pioneers, I really like them as well, especially since the change from version 2 to Dust 1947. They got a lot better actually. But they still aren't that good against vehicles. They're jackhammers, they do a bunch of damage, but they roll very few dice. The regular gorillas, they roll like twice the number of dice and makes, I think it's just 1 less damage per hit. So on average, they actually do more.
Yeah.
And the maximum is also more.
But doesn't the Flamfausts hit on most of the vehicles also, so they can soften them up?
Yes,
and
but
suppress them, so they are easy to fight.
They are good.
I'm just asking here. You're the expert, man.
I don't know about that, but I think the pioneers are good. But
the thing with the pioneers and the Flamfaust is if they charge, they can't use their Flamfausts. They can only use the jackhammers.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. But I'm thinking you usually use them beforehand, so you shoot them first and then the second turn.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying if I'm playing several units of gorillas. I will definitely bring pioneers, no question about it. But it's not the first unit I pick. So
okay.
To say.
Yeah.
Well. I will pick it as maybe second or probably like third unit. So.
All right. Seth Allen Squire, so same guy who won our mug actually. So congratulations again. He asked, what vehicles, units, or accessories would you put in production if Paolo put you in charge for a day?
Oh, that was a good question.
Wow, there are just tons of cool stuff.
Yeah, and that's, if you bend that, perhaps that would be an interesting one. Just to say something, the Swedish fighter, Tunnan, what's called the barrel.
The flying barrel.
Yeah, the flying barrel. Just since we're Swedes, it would always be nice to have I don't know if there's any more famous Swedish...
I have a soft spot for the S-tank, the kind of burrowing tank destroyer. It doesn't have a turret. It's just it's like the German Hetze. Also, that kind of thing. I think it's really cool. But it's from the 60s, so it doesn't really fit. But some kind of variation of that, I think, would be really cool.
Yeah, there are tons of cool historical vehicles that could be made like dust versions of. The actually, I'm a bit surprised, but the first thing now that popped into my head was landing crafts. There's a card for it, for the historical one, but I would like to see more dustified. I mean, in the Babylon campaign, they make the what's it called, the Axis forces. They make
Kraken.
Yes,
you want the Kraken. It would be this entire
that's
room.
That's the name of that
in.
operation. I mean, but I would really like to be able to play cool landing scenarios with actual 3D landing crafts.
The question again: how exactly did it phrase it? What? Any unit or just
vehicles, units, or accessories?
Accessories. Oh, that's a good one as well.
So it actually comes with some suggestions like faction decals, ski infantry. So that's maybe, or submersibles, like so you can have underwater.
I was just thinking about the U-boat. Actually, that would be so free. And also, not to copy GV, but they have actually made now I think it's for the same, the fantasy ship. They have made like almost mermaids or sea people or something like that.
Wet elves.
Yeah, something like that. But that would be, think of it, having terrain where you play in submerged bases, and you have like you don't have, maybe you can have all in diving gear, and you move on the bottom of the ocean and fight with harpoons and
that's
stuff.
Actually a thing that would be really cool to see, more internal kind of terrain. So like the inside of a huge military base. So that the entire table is inside a big underground base of some sort. Stuff like that could be really cool, I think.
And just as a U-boat, I mean, we've seen some nice ones, and people have made their own.
Yeah, there are those tiles from one of the old operations. Yeah. Don't remember which one now.
It's the sea level.
Yeah, yes, of course it is.
Those are wonderful tiles. Every game I played on those tiles have been amazing games. Even though I actually lost most of them. I realize now, but they are so nice. That's what I talked about. Wow factor in 2D. I mean, it's very hard making a nice submarine, so don't do that. Bring those. Make sure you get those 2D from sea level.
Really nice.
Play on those. It's better. Or if you got the real model, of course, and you can paint it and all stuff like that, go with 3D. But that's very cute.
And if you talk about models, that could be something like a 148 kind of playable terrain piece for a U-boat. One that I would like to see is the Ratte. That's the German tank that's even bigger than the Maus. That would be like half a table big if you build it in 148. So that would probably need to be like a papercraft something, unless it would be too heavy for the table to support, I think.
That's true. And of course, I think actually it could be in the making somewhere along the future, but because I felt like Paolo has actually hinted it, you have those wonderful like hovercraft with skis, the Russian things, moving on. That one, if they put that in production, I'm one of those that would definitely buy it.
Yeah, but, that was available as a 135th model kit a long time ago, I think. Yeah.
So that one in 148 would be, of course, beautiful.
And there are some other kind of stuff we've seen from that range. The Gunther. Kind of small walker for the Axis. So that would be really nice to see for the game, actually.
Definitely.
Let's just, hope for stuff to happen.
Why not perhaps also some, of course, it's just we with our 3D stuff. I was thinking about the Rattenkriegen, in Syrga with the underground stuff,
with the sewer system.
Something like that would be. There are people who have done amazing stuff. They posted online and stuff, but of course, something like that would be. Wow.
Like I said before, I mean, many times I love terrain. I love building and painting and, of course, playing on it. But I know that, terrain doesn't sell as well as as models do. So it would be great if they put out something like that, like an underground sewer system.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid. I'm guessing that they will not.
No, but I'm thinking that could be something that perhaps people who don't play Dust buys. I mean, something like an underground system or something, because it just felt like when I've seen.
And if we were talking like underground walls or bunkers or kind of internal structures like that, I think that could work as pre-printed cardboard that you put together. There are some stuff like that, or MDF. I don't think the studio is going to go into MDF probably.
No,
but those pre-printed cardboard that you kind of put together, those can look really nice if you do them well.
Yeah,
and that I've seen both those that look pretty tacky and horrible as well, but you can do them well, and if that could be a cheap way to do it, that could be cheap to sell and to make people excited to buy them. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, lots of cool ideas out there.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah, we've covered everything, I think.
Yeah, I think we've covered everything by now.
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
okay, well...
I think there was one thing that we kind of forgot.
It's your standard...
Oh, yeah. No.
Oh.
Of course, we haven't forgotten. I'm just teasing with you. The big winner of the terrain contest, of course, the big winner of the Nyarlathotep resin model. And the big winner is Alejandro Victor Samonte from the Philippines.
Woohoo!
Big congratulations! This is I think you, Ludwig, is going to be happy about this, because this is the Miskatonic Research Office.
Yes, I'm so happy you did the raffling and not me, because otherwise people would have perhaps thought I've been picking my favorite. I love every one of the entries, and that's not bullshit. It's true. They are amazing in all, but it was something when I just first looked at the first picture on this, and it ticked me. You know, I'm not gonna be overdoing it and say it was like the first time I looked at the Falcon or the Enterprise, but it's like 25% of that. You know, it was just something like it clicked. It's like,
Yeah, I have to say for me too. Actually, I when I first saw it, okay, it's some kind of ruined building, and then I looked a little bit more, and I saw more and more details, and wow, this was something cool. I mean, all the entries are really cool, and this was it wasn't as spectacular maybe as some of the others, but I really like this as well.
It's very subtle, like you say. It doesn't look very special if you just look at it just straight away without looking at the details. But the more you look, and also the entire background information, the special rules, it's something special.
Definitely.
So big congratulations to Alejandro for bringing home this. We will get in touch with you and make sure that the model kit gets on its way to you. And with that, we'd like to thank all of our listeners for sticking with us. Thanks to all our contestants for entering in this contest. We will see when we get our chance to have another one, probably with another kind of theme or another kind of. But this is not going to be the last one, I think. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone and see you, everyone, in the next episode. So thank you from me, Johannes, and
from Magnus.
Yeah, and of course from Ludda. I'm always happy.
Yes, of course. And as usual, we will see you on the battlefield. Thank you for listening to Dust War Journals. You can find us at dustwarjournals.com or on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dust War Journals. And you can find our Patreon page at patreon.com/dustwarjournals. All music used in this podcast is made by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com.